It's very interesting, right? As in, just today, I was just looking at a report from Stanford where they have given a detailed this thing as to the Gen AI state of 2024 or 2023, right? It's a very interesting read. There are 10 key takeaways. I think I would suggest all of you to just go and Google it and just read it. It's available publicly, right? Um, but in short, just stepping a few as in steps back, right? I would split this into basically the pre-Chat GPT and the post-Chat GPT as a line which divides basically the AI aspects of what has happened, right? We were using, as Neeraj was telling us, right? We were using ML and other AI technologies from day one, because digitally you have to do that, and it's not possible basically on an individual basis. Basically, an individual person can sit and underwrite each and every customer, especially in a country where we have to serve hundreds of millions of customers in India, right? There is no other country, only China is there, India is there, right? And then you have US, and then Brazil, Indonesia, and probably all of Africa and these things. You are done with the 300 million basically population, basically the graphs, right? Post that, it's a very long tail population where you can serve to the customers. So with respect to this, when you get these huge numbers, you need to get in some of these machine learning and models inbuilt, right, in your systems to basically start augmenting or helping you out in doing many of these things, right? So that was what in the pre-Chat GPT era is what is going on, and that is something that we still continue to do, because especially in the fintech space, whatever it is there, it's always a bit conservative in terms of basically doing the business, because this is the only business where we give the products away, right, and then we come back to basically try to get the products back, right? Imagine all of us getting the products freely and then we pay them back basically on a EMI basis or this thing. The whole business is totally different, right? We provide credit and then we get back basically this thing. So until my customers pay back fully, I'm not profitable, right? Or I don't make any money on the unit economics aspect, right? So that was always running, and in terms of basically, so the way we run the ML and other models are that, statistically we look at basically how the customers will behave in terms of basically the digital data that we have of the customers, right? And then we decide on some strategies, and then that strategy is employed on the platform, and it runs. As Neeraj and Monish were saying, multiples of these strategies run, and then we decide which is the better strategy for which product on a basically longer term basis, right? Post the ChatGPT, what has happened is that that's where the generative aspect came in, right? Where basically the systems or the models models like Claude or GPT models that were there. Basically started helping in the generative aspect of it, right? So how that helps our business primarily is that in terms of basically augmenting the efficiency of basically of my people, right? So when I look at it, I would basically split this Gen AI aspects into mainly three different pillars or three different layers is what I would say, right? Layer one is basically text-based generative AI systems, right? Layer 2 is probably visual or image-based Gen AI systems, and layer 3 is more of audio-based systems is where we look at, right? Layer 1 text is pretty mature, right? Layer 2 is going on, it's pretty decent outputs, but there are some issues here and there which you need to be really looking out for. Layer 3 is more of an aspirational aspect which is there, but looking at the pace at which things are moving, I don't think it will be an aspiration over basically probably for a long time, right? It should be realized very soon is what I believe, right? So coming to the text-based aspects, we would again split this into basically into the more of the development aspect and then the support-based aspects that are there, right? So I think all of us know that basically there is something called Copilot, there is something called Code Whisperer, Gemini, and all those things which are there, which help you in terms of the developer efficiency, in terms of generating code, basically, which in turn is what your business runs on, right? So This is deployed across pretty much all of my developers, and we see good efficiencies, increase in the efficiencies here. Right? So what this is doing is that it's making basically an excellent performer or an excellent programmer, basically of maybe 2x or 3x in terms of basically efficiency, or basically in terms of making the output, right? As in, so it's like, a good person is becoming super good, right? And a person who is basically probably average is basically being bumped up into basically into the good category or something like that, right? So all in all, basically what it means is that for me, the developer efficiency has increased in terms of basically the outputs that is required. So the timelines are crunched. Unit test cases writing, all those things are basically very simple, right? As in earlier, there is a very adverse reaction to the developers to write unit test cases, right? As in, because that is generally, for example, something that the developers are not happy with. All of them want to develop some business product, deploy it, and see the customers running through it, right? And then seeing their feature in basically in action, right? But before that also you need to have some checks and balances, and always it's a push and a pull to do that, right? So in this case, in developer aspect, it is that. I think the time is up. I'll just summarize in a minute. In terms of the other aspects, operational side, what we do is that we do that to augment the operational aspects with respect to customer support mainly, where email-based and chat-based support is there. So where the emails are drafted automatically based on the outputs and given, so that the agents can contribute and do it. This is something that's going on in the POC aspect. In the image side, what happens is that for the marketing team and all these people, when for the images to generate for, let's say Holi or Dashara or whatever festivals are there, the creatives become slightly more easier to do, and then you can deploy it. But obviously there, as I said, the issues with respect to the fingers. Some people have 5 fingers, some people have 4 fingers, some have 6 fingers. Basically with respect to the image that is generated, so that's something that you need to look out for. The eyes have some issues, and so on and so forth. But all in all, what happens is that it gives a good platform for my UI UX engineers to basically work upon, rather than starting from scratch, right? And in terms of voice, is something that is more in the research phase. I think I will not go beyond that. It's still in research phase, is what I would say, right? So this is pretty much what happens now. And I think we hope to basically see this maturing much faster and in a much better way, and deploying it across the org in a much more wider scale, so that my OpEx cost as it is, basically I can look at basically getting it down, which in turn basically adds to my bottom line. Yeah. Thank you.